All right, everyone, it's definitely marijuana day, I suppose, today, isn't it? Drug day, because the CNN crew was in Denver. I remarked on this in the last video. And they were blazing up, and they were on the cannabis, as it's called. It's like this strobe light-filled, neon sort of hazy, smoky bus where people are partying it down and smoking and eating marijuana materials. And this was, I guess, considered really, really cool by people on the left. Like, it's so rad, tubular, man. Meanwhile, people like Fox was crucifying them, saying, oh, they're breaking the law. It's so terrible. And look at the legacy media, how dumb they are. Weed, at this point, is neither particularly cool nor particularly important. On one end is maybe people on the so-called left, like the so-called liberals, the neolibs would claim. They want to be like kid-friendly by saying that pot is cool, like Hillary Clinton, Pokemon Go to the polls. They really want to be cool, even though they're not. And then you've got like the neocons, like the Foxes and stuff. They act like it's the worst thing in the world. It's like Denver, people have been smoking up there anyway. It has not caused an increase in crime. It just causes increased revenue because, of course, Uncle Sam and the states, too, love to tax everything. They want the weed to be like, they want their cut of your weed profits. And trust me, that tax and fees thing, the regulations will increase over time. As long as you have the rudiments of a regulatory system applied to any good, it will inevitably, over time, at least slowly, crawl upwards and increase itself. It's the way that government works. You will never have a recession. You'll never have less tax on weed in those states than you have now. The best thing that a state could do right now is just to unilaterally legalize pot, say, we're not going to tax it. In fact, we're going to ban taxing it. There will be no regulatory structure. Just, hey, you're going to get in trouble if you're giving it to kids. Or if you're driving on it, it would still be like a DUI. Maybe an aggravating factor in other, crimes, violent, felonious in nature. Beyond that, we don't really give a fuck. We're not going to tax it at all because we're saving money already by not policing it. So it kind of breaks even, with having to prosecute people still for like a DUI offense. That's what they should do. It's funny to see a bunch of pundits, from CNN no less. Now, nobody trusts them. Their audience is shrinking. They've been around forever and they're growing irrelevant and honestly older. They're a multinational parent company owns them. They're just a subsidiary of a much larger company that's run by a bunch of old white dudes anyway. Exactly what so-called progressive social justice warriors, they get so uptight about that, like, oh no, white males ruin everything, and yet, they watch CNN, think it's great. And they're doing this segment with the gas mask bong and all of this bullshit. And they think that it's cool. No, not really. Trust me, if a person went to college, they've probably seen wilder things than that. I saw a bunch of people at UVM once. They made this water pipe. It was a spectacular little thing. I think an engineering student had constructed it, but it had many, many chambers. And it bubbled through one, and then the next, and then the next. And I think there were 6 different chambers. So when that smoke hit you, it was like ice cold. It was really great. I think there were ice cubes in it too, so it was extra great. And you can flavor it. Some people, they'll put like Red Bull or Coca-Cola or something in the water pipe, by the way. It can be a little bit odd in flavor. Like I had a trick where I would take the smoke into my mouth. I wouldn't actually inhale it at first. And I would just sort of slowly blow it in a jar and swirl it around and like look at the smoke, and then I would pretend I was drinking it, but I was actually inhaling it, and then that was always my thing. I thought it was fun. It makes the smoke drier, but less hot, so, it sort of works. So yeah, you can do all sorts of things with weed. It's fun, or it can be, for people who intend to use it, and of course now it's legal increasingly in more countries and states. But that doesn't make it cool. It's a medicine. Number one, never should have been banned. It should have always been for little cancer granny and the glaucoma patient, the AIDS kid who can't keep food down. Yeah, or in a way, for addiction treatment, like all of these people right now that they're giving, like they'll give them, I think it's methadone or something for heroin withdrawal. Why don't you just give them a shit ton of weed and keep them so stoned that they can eat? The physical effects like the chills and stuff that they get from withdrawal won't be as severe, hopefully. I know that a lot of people, they'll use alcohol as well for withdrawal symptoms. I did that. I did that with tobacco, and it worked. Honestly, I'm not going to sit here, disclaimer, I'm not going to recommend this, for certainly for health-related purposes. But while I was detoxing off the nicotine, I was just drinking like a fish. You know, not that I don't drink a lot now, or you know, I'm working on it. But it did help, as opposed to in the past when I was just a smoker and I didn't really drink. It was terrible. It was less terrible when I was basically high off of alcohol. And don't kid yourself, alcohol and tobacco are drugs. So is caffeine. Caffeine's the most popular drug of all. It's the king drug. It's also one of the best. Trust me. You need a lot of caffeine to do certain things in this world. Get some tea, get some coffee, get robot piss. It doesn't really matter. You know, I'm easy, each to their own. I'll drink all three at the same time. It's funny to see, though, CNN act cool. And it's funny to see, like, Fox or Breitbart take the bait, too. They're like, oh, no, the leftists are going to wine and dine the stoners. You know, like all the weed kids have already been voting for them. But meanwhile, people who want to use other substances, probably they vote Libertarian or Green Party. Like some hippie-trippy person who's, like, growing their San Pedro and their shrooms, man, and stuff like that. Do you really think that they consider the Democrats generally anything other than what they are, which is a corporate warmonger party intent on causing a nuclear exchange? Now, of course, they understand because they're using psychedelics. Maybe that makes them more intelligent when it comes to such things. I use them. People are always worried that if you use acid a couple times or you take mushrooms that it's going to permanently mess you up. No, I think I'm doing quite well in the mental faculties department. Better than these pundits. Some of these people pretend to be like straight edge. Oh, kids, if you drink that beer, you will soon smoke pot. If you smoke that pot, you will take acid. If you take acid, you will become a heroin junkie and die. That's basically, that was certainly the 90s in a nutshell. There wasn't anybody on TV that was going to tell you the truth, which is, yeah, some substances, their gateway thing doesn't exist. Some of them are more dangerous than others. Some are more addictive than others. Some of them, hey, they're basically non-addictive, like marijuana, as opposed to tobacco and alcohol that are legal, but somehow those are just fine. It's okay to pickle your liver or tar out your lungs, but you can't use these other substances because, reasons. Insert random bullshit here. And that's exactly what it is, total bullshit. The drug war is a farce. It's just to make money. It's to justify increased police spending, too. It's like the police get, like, shot at because they have to raid some fucking house at 2 a.m. because someone smelled pot. It's so ridiculous. It hurts them. It certainly hurts our wallets. It hurts those communities. You know, when Jimmy gets aired out, he's 15 years old, he gets shot because the cops think he's dealing. It turns out, oh, yeah, he was just loading his pipe because he smokes marijuana occasionally. And then everyone cries and carries on. It's like, well, you know, fucking end the drug war, and the left's not going to do that. The so-called left of the neoliberal, like, democratic movement, they don't want to end the drug war. They love that money. They like to tax things. They won't end any part of the drug war without instituting taxation. If you have, like, a group of Republicans that were like, okay, we're going to legalize weed, they would just say, okay, smoke up, people. They wouldn't want to tax it, I don't think. But the Democrats are like, oh, we need this regulation, that fee. And they'll put the family-friendly bullcrap on it. They'll say, well, this is to make sure kids don't smoke it and to make sure that people don't drive under the influence. No, really, it's you want money. And you know that it's because they want money, because that's what everything boils down to a neoliberal. Or a neocon, in all honesty. The neocon will legalize pot if they can make money. They'll keep it illegal if they can make money. They don't really care. So yeah, don't try to tell me that CNN is cool because they're on the cannabis. No, have them drop acid live on air, then they can be cool. Have them drop acid or take mescaline, something that'll actually get them truly balls to the walls high, that'll have them looking at the sweat dripping down their hand and it's changing color and turning into little mushrooms or little ants crawling on their body. Give them ketamine. Give them something that's actually cool as opposed to marijuana. By the way, yeah, I say as like someone who leans far right on a bunch of issues. I'm a total hippie when it comes to the drug war. Been there, done that, and used most of these substances. None of them ever screwed me up except the legal one. The legal one is the one that really put me down and took me out of that. Well, I guess I could give it credit because I would have wasted a lot of my time, you know, getting high instead of actually doing like this. Something else was fun. But I always thought it was mostly educational and spiritual. I'm sorry, I just don't see the problem in our society with these things. To say at the legacy media, we're at the vanguard of cool because we smoked pot. Whoa, man, I'm so high. I've got the munchies. Give me a Twinkie. And they'll spout all these weird stereotypes and stuff, and that's really just all it's about. They want money too. They probably want like younger viewers because the average CNN viewer is 68. That's the average age of a CNN, or was it 67? I think it ticked down a year. So they're really lucky. I think for Fox it's like 71 because it's the nursing home channel basically. Yeah, so those 68-year-olds are so cool, man. So tubular, rad. No, I think it would be past tubular and rad. I think what would be the top 1950s era word for cool? As a 90s kid would say cool, they would say I don't know. Bitchin' was 80s. Rad and tubular were 80s. Now it's like lit, epic. I don't know. I don't know what they said back in the 50s. It was really smart. It's swell. Okay, pod is really, really swell. The people at CNN, they're quite swell too. That's about all. Peace out.